future Caroline coming back. Before we start this video, I've just realised that I filmed the whole video and failed to answer 2 of the questions, so I'm just going to very quickly answer them before we start. And the first one that I didn't answer was, oh god, I can't even find it now. Yes, I can. Who was your favourite teacher in any year at school, and what were your favourite subjects? Stay safe. Lots of love to you and your family in these strange times. I don't really remember having any favourite teachers. I can particularly remember the ones I didn't like. Dreadful round-faced woman called Miss Longhurst, who taught geography at my middle school, I guess, or senior school. Didn't like her at all. Very unpleasant woman. Don't think she liked me much either. But I don't remember having any particularly favourite teachers. I didn't have any that particularly inspired me or that I remember particularly fondly. No, sorry, I don't. My favourite subjects at school were languages. I did French and German A-levels, and also English. I love English as well. That was probably my favourite. The other question that I didn't answer, apologies, was from JJ, who asked, how are you sourcing in the current climate? How are you sourcing in the current climate? Obviously, I'm not. No sourcing at all going on here. I'm lucky enough to have a bit of a backlog for listing on eBay, so I've reduced the number I list each day and just working through that and hoping it lasts me, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Not much I can do. So now let's get into the main part of the video. Good morning, thank you very much for joining me. Today we are going to do part 1 of my Q&A. I think it's going to end up being 3 parts, probably, possibly even 4, because you guys asked me a lot of questions. I put a call out for questions on YouTube, on Facebook, my Facebook page linked below if anybody wants to follow me on there, and on Instagram, also linked below if anybody wants to follow me on there. And I got a lot of responses. So today I'm going to do the questions, or address the questions, or answer the questions. That's the word I'm looking for, answer the question. I feel like I'm a bit too high up. That's better, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to answer the questions that you guys asked on YouTube on the community post that I posted. And the first question is from Jane Howell, who says, hi, I enjoy watching your show. I'm not sure of the correct lingo, but I watch you a lot. I am curious to know if you live in one of those upside down houses where upstairs is your living space and downstairs is your bedroom. The answer to that is no, Jane, I don't. Our house is on a hill, built into a hill, and it's actually on 3 levels, and the level you come in at downstairs is where we have our cinema room and utility room and a bathroom and a wine room. I have actually done a house tour. If I can find it, I will link it up here if anybody wants to look at that. It's a couple of years old, but it hasn't changed massively in that time. And then you come up onto the next level, which is the main living space. So you do actually go upstairs to the main living space, which is the area that I mostly film in, the kitchen, the big open plan lounge diner, and also my office here. And also, well, the spare bedroom, one of the spare bedrooms. And then you go up sort of half a level, so it's not on top of this level, but it's back that way, but up again. And that's the floor with my bedroom, spare bedroom, William's bedroom, my ensuite, my dressing room, William's bathroom, and my little eBay room as well, my small eBay room. I have 2 eBay rooms, a big one and a small one. That was a convoluted answer, wasn't it? Let's hope we speed up a little bit from here on in. The next question was from Vicky P, and she says, really enjoying your videos. It's a bit of certainty in an uncertain time. So thank you for that, Vicky. Glad you're enjoying them. She says, my question is, can Ashley have his own weekly spot, as he's hilarious and the world needs more of that? I did put this question to him this morning, and he was very flattered and glad that you enjoy his input in my videos. Not sure if he can have a weekly spot. He would need quite heavy editing, I think. He agreed with that when I made that comment to him. Whilst he's hilarious, he's also extremely outspoken on subjects that I tend to try and avoid on here. Politics, religion, that kind of thing, stuff that's going on in the news. So he would need to be heavily edited. But if there's enough interest, and if you guys want to ask any questions that you'd like Ashley to answer, leave them in the comments here, and I will get him to do a sit-down Q&A with me at some point. So yeah, I will do that. Ella Sinney asks, my question is, as a skeptic myself, do you believe in the supernatural in any way, and if so, any particular reason? My genuine answer would have to be no to that. I have been to a couple of medium shows, stage shows, and I've even been picked out by the medium in one of them. I've been to a spiritualist church where they claim to be able to talk to people on the other side and have messages for the congregation. And what else? I've been to, well, I was going to say something else that I'd done. Oh, when I was a teenager, we used to mess about with Ouija boards. Yes, I know. And it did seem to be moving. But, you know, the glass did seem to be moving, to be fair. But do I believe in the supernatural? Not really. I've never had anything happen to me that has given me cause to believe in it. So I'm not a particularly spiritual person. So I don't, even if I hear weird noises in the house, I don't immediately think, oh, that could be a ghost, or what's that, or something. I'm quite down to earth. I'm not particularly. So I guess the short answer to that question is no, I don't believe in the supernatural. Vicky the Toy Hoarder asks, I have a cheeky question. What kind of grandmother would you be? One that enjoyed giving the kiddies back, I think. No, seriously. Obviously, it feels like it's a long way off into the future. Will's still at university, he's only 20, he doesn't even have a girlfriend at the moment. So yeah, I can't imagine that. I'm sure it will happen at some point in the future, but it does feel a long way off for me. I'm not a massive fan of small children. I wasn't even a massive fan of Will being a small child. I much preferred him as he grew up a bit and was able to communicate, and I enjoy, although I look back on his childhood years quite fondly, in retrospect they were hard work, and I don't know, but I'm just not a fan of children particularly, so probably the reason I've only got one. But I'm sure it's different with your own grandchildren, isn't it? But yeah, I'd like to think I'd be a good grandmother. I'd like to think that I've been a fairly good mother. I think we all would, wouldn't we? We'd just do your best, I guess. Next question is from Debbie Tomlinson, and she asks two parts, and she says, what are you missing the most during lockdown? And I did give this question a little bit of thought, and do you know what it is? It's human contact with real people, and I cannot imagine how much harder this is for people who live on their own. I'm lucky enough that I live with my husband and my son, and obviously I have that human contact every day, but for people on their own during this time, it must be so hard. So anybody on your own, I'm sending you a great big blooming hug. So yeah, for me it is that human contact. When I dropped my parcels off at the parcel shop yesterday, I exchanged a couple of sentences with the lady behind the counter, and just that little bit of human contact really made me happy. Yeah, I think that will be, and I think as time goes on you'll miss that more. I feel like that would be something that will become a bigger thing. I really miss my best friend, although we've talked on the phone and we text. It's not the same, you know. Yeah, just miss people really. And the second half of Debbie's question was, what have you learnt about yourself during this time? And I think it's probably too early to say. I think on reflection back, when we come to a point of looking back at this strange period of time, I feel like we will, for me particularly, I think there will be lessons that I will have learned, but I feel like it's a little bit early to say at this time. One thing I've noticed rather than learned is that if I keep myself busy, and if I have a plan of things to do, and if I have a list and I get through it, it takes my mind off everything. Everything feels a bit more normal, and I'm more able to cope and less anxious about things. So keeping busy, which is something I knew anyway, but I think this has brought that home. But I think it will be interesting reflecting back on this, maybe in a year's time or 6 months' time, or however long it takes. I think it would be interesting to look back and see what we all think we've learned. That might make a good video actually. Beverly Taylor asks, sorry, it's quite a long comment. I'm sure you've probably said this before, but I'm relatively new to your channel. Please forgive me, but what foundation do you use, as your complexion always looks lovely? That's very kind, Beverly. Thank you very much. At the moment I'm using Foera foundation. I have made a video about this which I will link up there for you to click through. It's a relatively new to me, very good value for money, and I really enjoy it. I'm finding it's a really nice foundation. I've got it mixed with a little bit of, I forget the name of the product, it's Beauty Pie Sheer Tint or something, just for a little bit more glow, because it's quite an quite a full-on foundation, the Foera one, so just for a slightly lighter coverage I've mixed it with that. I'll put a side-by-side up of the Beauty Pie product, and yeah, so that's what I've got on today. Next question. Cheryl Skaggs asks, how and where did your husband meet? How and where did you and your husband meet, even? It's a long story. Perhaps I should do, I've done a video about our wedding. Not sure I've done one about how we met. The short version is that Ashley was, my boyfriend at the time was renting a room in a house that Ashley owned with rooms rented out, and we became friends with Ashley and his girlfriend at the time, Tracy, and we basically swapped partners. That's the short story. Yeah, that's the short story. I'll perhaps give you a longer version of that at some point. Should I give you a slightly longer version now? I went off to work on cruise ship. This was when I was 20, I think, I met Ashley. And I went off to work on cruise ships, and John and I eventually split up. John ended up with Ashley's girlfriend Tracy, which Ashley didn't know about at the time, never found out about. I was away on ships for 4.5 years. And when I came home on leave one time, I got in touch with Ashley because we've been friends, and Ashley came and stayed with me, and it all started from there. Yeah, I lived in Dorset, Ashley lived in Devon, so about 100 miles apart, and then I eventually moved down to Devon to live with Ashley after we'd been together about 2 years by that point, and we were engaged when I moved down here. That's the slightly longer version. Where are we? Melanie Brown asks, have you always been so organised? I am a Virgo, so it is naturally in my DNA, I guess. I quite like being, I'm not tidy, I'm not a naturally tidy person at all. I have to work quite hard at that. But I do feel that I am quite organised. I like my lists and my notebooks and everything. I think you get more organised as you get older, but yeah, certainly for the last, since my 20s really, I have been quite an organised person. So yeah, I guess you could say that I always have been fairly organised, yes. Rebecca J asks, what does William think of you doing YouTube? Now, these days he doesn't mind. He thinks it's absolutely fine. He didn't love it when I first did it. There were some bumps in the road a little bit. He got a little bit, I'm not going to use the word bullied, that's a bit too full on, but teased when his schoolmates found out that I had a YouTube channel. Nowadays, apparently some of his uni friends watch me on YouTube, so if any of you guys are out there, hello, how you doing? But yeah, nowadays he doesn't mind. There was a period when he didn't want to be in any videos at all, and I obviously absolutely respected that. I mean, he's not really in videos now, he'll occasionally, and I always, if I'm going to film him, like last week I think I filmed a segment of him cooking when he was cooking spag bowl. I always say to him before, do you mind if I just film you? Sometimes he'll say no, sometimes he'll say yes, you know, but I think it's really important. And it does give me pause for thought a bit with all these very young children, these family YouTube channels. I know YouTube have cracked down on it a little bit, but I do wonder how these kids will reflect back on it on the very big family channels where the kids aren't old enough to give their permission or really know what they're doing. It's something that I've learnt about through trial and error with Will, even though he's been older. But yeah, I think he's quite proud of it, really. If I will ask him, and I will perhaps insert a little bit at the end. He's not around at the moment, but I will ask him. Lex asks, where are you and Rishi going on your hot date? And this is because I said I had a bit of a crush on Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Feel like he's displaying great leadership qualities in these difficult times that we're in at the moment, and so I've got a bit of a crush on him. So the correct answer to Lex's question at the moment, obviously, is that our hot date is going to be by Skype, because everybody is staying at home, aren't they? Stay at home, stay safe. So yeah, Skype date, I think, Lex. Karen Sells Clothes asked me, is there anywhere in the world that you haven't visited and really want to go? Not at present, obviously. Many places that I'd like to go. I would love to visit, just one off the top of my head, is that I would love to visit more of the Greek islands, perhaps some of the smaller unspoilt ones that are more difficult to get to. I've had been to some lovely Greek islands, particularly enjoyed Skiathos, and yeah, I love Greece, one of my favourite places in the world, and yeah, the smaller islands would be nice. A place that I would like to revisit, not that, is Bora Bora, which is a very small island in the South Pacific. It's part of Tahiti, and I would love to go there. I went there when I worked on the cruise ships, but it is eye-wateringly expensive to go there these days. So whether I'll ever make it back there or not, I don't know, but fingers crossed. Tam Ham asks, what is your favourite old-fashioned British food? I have to say fish and chips. I love fish and chips and mushy peas, and Ashley would say curry sauce with your chips as well, but for me it would just be really nice piece of battered fish, nice crunchy chips and mushy peas. Yum. Wish the fish and chip shops were open. Sophie Burrows asked me, what pets do you currently have or have had? We currently have one cat. We did have two cats. One very sadly died quite recently. Reg, the one that's left over, the one that's still with us is Ron. They were brothers. We've had them since they were kittens, and we've had them for about 16 years. I think Reg was 16 when he died. Yeah, so that was very sad. And we also have, or possibly had, a pet tortoise, Freddie, who we've had since Will was about 7. When we got him, we lived in a house with an enclosed garden, and it was very easy to keep track of him. Now, we don't live in a house with an enclosed garden, and he's more of an escapologist than he used to be, and we haven't actually seen him for getting on for a year now. He disappeared last summer, and we have found him after he's been disappeared for this long before he will turn up, but I think this is the longest that he's been disappeared for. He's bound to be somewhere in the garden. He tends to just dig himself in and into a hedge or something under the ground. The gardener found him once. That makes me sound like I have a full-time gardener. I don't have a full-time gardener. We have a dodgy guy that comes round once a week for about 6 weeks of the year to cut the hedges and stuff. But he did find the tortoise dug right into next to the root of a tree deep in the hedge. So hopefully he'll come back again soon. Gigi Simpson asks, where is / was your favourite place to holiday, and where is your bucket list place? One of my favourite places to holiday is Greece, which I've already talked about. My bucket list place would probably be Bora Bora, as I've just said. Somewhere that I haven't been in the world that I like to go to is probably South America. I'd like to explore a little bit more of South America. Argentina particularly I'm quite interested in going to, but there's lots and lots of places that I would like to go. The other favourite place to holiday, very lucky to have been to the Maldives 5 times and have some very happy memories of the Maldives. Just such a special place. There's nowhere like it in the world. Absolutely love the Maldives. And then finally, my final question for this video is from Susan Craig, who says, have you ever considered writing a book? If so, subject matter? And Carrie JN says, I was going to ask if you think you have a novel in you. When I was younger, when I was a kid, I used to start writing books, great long stories. I used to type them out on my mum's old manual typewriter. But no, I don't think I've got a book in me. I love to read, but I don't really have. I like to write, and I sort of scratched the writing itch, so to speak, with my blog. I started a blog in 2008 and carried it on until I really got into YouTube a couple of years ago. And I've got a great big section of my life. It was just a lifestyle, not lifestyle, it was very much almost like a personal diary type of blog. I guess a little bit like this, lifestyle, would you call it that? I don't know. But yeah, writing that blog, I really enjoyed it. I absolutely loved it. I've never managed to keep up with writing a diary, but my blog I kept up with for the best part of 10 years, 7 years, something like that. And I feel like that scratched the itch I had to write and got the writing bug out of me, type of thing. Does that make sense? But yeah, but yeah, I don't think I've got a novel in me at all. Perhaps one day in retirement, who knows, who knows. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for the questions. As I said, there will be a part 2 and probably a part 3 and 4 at some point in between the daily vlogs, just for a bit of a change. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one. And as I said, if you've got any questions for Ashley, please do leave them in the comments below. See you soon. Bye bye.